A shark glides through the water with almost no effort, faster and quieter than something that size has any right to be. And here's the strange part. Its skin is nowhere near smooth. Run your hand against the grain and you'll shred your palm like you dragged it across sandpaper. Rough skin that helps slice through water. How does that work? That roughness gave the world the fastest swimsuits ever made. An Olympic scandal. A devastating paper out of Harvard, and today it's fighting bacteria in hospitals. One shark's skin, and that many storylines at once. A story full of twists. Any diver will tell you, pet a shark from head to tail silk. Go the other way, sandpaper. The skin is studded with something hard and sharp. And yet that sandpaper, against all logic, helps the shark slide through water faster. To understand why, you have to zoom in. Zoom in on shark skin. It's covered entirely by millions of tiny scales called denticles. They sit tight, points facing back, like shingles on a roof. This is nothing like regular fish scales. It's something far more clever. The most remarkable thing, denticles are, in essence, tiny teeth. Same material, same structure as the real teeth in the shark's mouth. And running along each of those little teeth are fine lengthwise grooves called riblets. Those grooves are the whole secret. Now here's the paradox. We tend to think, to move faster, a surface should be smooth and streamlined. Polish it to a mirror finish, and the water will just slip off. But the shark flips that on its head. Its ridged, rough skin outpaces a smooth one. How can roughness reduce drag? To understand that, meet the enemy. When a body moves through water, the main brake is friction with the water. Water sticks to the surface and pulls backward. The more friction, the harder it is to swim. And the most interesting action happens right at the skin itself. Right at the shark's surface, there's an ultra-thin layer of water that clings to the skin and moves with it. Engineers call it the boundary layer. This is where it gets decided whether a body slides easily or struggles, and at speed, that layer gets turbulent. At high speed, the boundary layer breaks into turbulence. Instead of smooth flow chaos, tiny vortices spinning and hammering at the surface. These eddies grab at the skin and slow the body down. Turbulence right at the surface is the main source of drag. And it's not just that the vortices spin, they also drift sideways, across the flow, churning the water right at the skin. That churning robs the body of kinetic energy and adds drag. The freer the vortices roam crosswise, the harder they break. This is where the grooves come in. The lengthwise grooves on shark skin act like tiny fences running with the flow. Water slides forward along them freely, but crosswise it hits the groove walls. The riblets impose order exactly where a smooth surface would give the vortices free rein. Those fences lift the vortices slightly above the surface and stop them from roaming sideways. The eddies get pinned on the ridges and barely reach the bottom of the grooves, which means mixing right at the skin weakens and water rubs against the body far more gently. The result is paradoxical but real. A surface with the right grooves produces less drag than a perfectly smooth one. The riblets calm the flow at the skin and the body moves through water with less effort. A ridged shark outpaces a mirror-polished one. Roughness that makes you faster. This breaks the usual logic. Smooth doesn't always mean fast. Sometimes the right, precisely tuned roughness slides better than a mirror. It all comes down to the size and shape of the grooves. They have to be matched to the flow. On a shark, that size is dialed in to the micron, and it was tuned by evolution over hundreds of millions of years. Every generation of sharks that swam a little more efficiently spent less energy hunting and survived more often. The ocean spent millions of years fitting the groove pattern to the shark's speed. Ready-made engineering cast right into the skin. And that's not all. The shark's sandpaper has a second talent. On a microstructured surface like this, there's nothing to grab onto. Algae, barnacles, and parasites can't get a foothold. The surface seems to keep itself clean. Remember this, it'll matter later. The idea caught attention fast. If a ridged skin carries a shark through water more efficiently, could you put shark skin on a swimmer? copy the denticles onto fabric and swim like a predator. It sounded beautiful. And people got serious about it, the makers of performance swimsuits. Speedo went furthest. First came the Fastskin suits with a shark skin-like surface, then the famous LZR Racer. They were developed alongside engineers, with athletes' bodies scanned for fit. The suit promised what swimmers could only dream of: the speed of a shark. And the marketing hit square in the target: swim like a shark. The idea being that the very same shark skin technology was now working for you, slicing through water, shaving off precious hundredths of a second. It looked like textbook biomimicry in action. All that was left was to test it where hundredths of a second decide everything at the Olympics. And the test came. The Beijing Olympics, 2008. Swimmers in these suits smashed record after record. Race after race, a new world mark. The pool felt electrified. It looked like sport had just stepped into a new era. The scale was unlike anything before. In a single games, swimmers in these suits broke dozens of world records, more than had fallen in several years combined. Nearly everyone standing on the podium was wearing one. The pool had become a full-blown record factory. And the world decided, here it is, the greatest triumph of biomimicry. Humans borrowed a trick from a shark, put it on an athlete, and rewrote the record books. The story looked flawlessly beautiful. Too beautiful, as it would turn out, because the medal had a flip side. Very quickly, an uncomfortable question hung in the air. Were we watching athletes or suits? If records were falling the moment everyone pulled on the same piece of kit, who deserved the credit, the swimmer, or the gear? It stopped smelling like sport and started smelling like an engineering race. And the suit, it turned out, did far more than just play shark. It compressed the body tightly, smoothed every bump into a streamlined torpedo shape, and trapped air bubbles to boost the swimmer's buoyancy. It was literally sculpting the athlete into a faster body. And that looked nothing like a regular racing jersey. Critics gave the suits a sharp label: technological doping. The records, they argued, weren't being set by the human. They were being set by a polyurethane bodysuit. The debate got heated. Some cheered progress. Others said sport was turning into a competition between garment factories. The federation could no longer stay silent. By 2009, things got truly out of hand. Suits made almost entirely of polyurethane appeared, and records fell by the dozen. It reached the point of absurdity. Without one of these suits, you had no business showing up at the podium. It was clear this couldn't go on. And then the International Swimming Federation stepped in. Suits like the LZR were deemed impermissible and banned. From 2010 onward, textile only, no polyurethane, and strict limits on body coverage. The era of supersuits was closed with a single ruling, sharp and final. And the shiny bodysuits disappeared from pools just as suddenly as they had arrived. It seemed like the story was over. A beautiful idea, record-breaking performances, scandal, ban curtain. The shark had been thanked and sent back to the ocean. Except, science had one more unexpected act in store. 2012, researchers at Harvard decided to rigorously test whether the suit actually worked, like shark skin. They took real shark hide and the actual Speedo shark skin fabric and ran a proper lab comparison. The result hit like a thunderclap. The experiment was a head-to-head. Where was drag lower real denticles or their fabric copy? Samples were moved through water, resistance was measured, the flow was observed. If the advertising was honest, the fabric should have behaved like shark skin. Should have, but didn't. And here was the shocking conclusion. The shark skin fabric worked nothing like real shark skin. Its surface simply didn't produce the effect everyone assumed it was there for. The famous shark-like texture on the suit didn't replicate the shark's trick. The name matched, but the physics didn't. Put plainly, the ridged pattern on the fabric didn't calm the flow the way a predator's skin grooves do. The drag-reducing shark effect in the suit essentially didn't exist. What was sold as the key secret turned out to be nearly hollow. A fair question then arose. Why were the suits so fast at all? The speed, it turned out, had nothing to do with shark skin. It came from something else entirely. The suit compressed the body into a streamlined shape, kept the muscles tight, improved the swimmer's posture in the water, and added buoyancy by trapping air. The athletes were carried by compression and buoyancy, not biomimicry. So the legendary shark suit had barely anything to do with the shark's actual secret. The bold claim "swim like a shark" turned out to be a polished myth. The suit really did work, just for completely different reasons than everyone believed. Marketing told one story, physics told another entirely. And here's the key moment of the whole drama. The shark's trick itself, it's real. The grooves genuinely can reduce drag. What was fake was only the suit's claim to that trick. Nature didn't let anyone down. The copy did. But if the shark effect is real, then somewhere it must actually work. And here comes a twist within the twist. Real riblets genuinely do cut drag. This isn't a myth or a marketing line. In wind tunnels and test tanks, the grooves have reduced drag again and again. They just need to operate differently from how the suit tried to use them. The secret is in execution. Riblets need to be precise, rigid grooves on a hard surface, sized to match the speed of the flow. Not soft, stretchy fabric that wrinkles on a swimmer and loses its shape. Give the grooves rigidity and precision and they work. And this was tested seriously, decades ago. At NASA and elsewhere, engineers applied ultra-thin film with microgrooves to surfaces and sent them into flight. The same shark grooves were transferred from a predator's skin to an aircraft's fuselage, and they did reduce drag in air. Less aerodynamic drag means direct fuel savings. A plane coated in ribbed film cuts through air a little easier and burns less jet fuel on the same routes. The same microscopic grooves, the same physics as the shark, just operating at 10,000 meters altitude. The advantage was noticed in racing too. Hulls of racing yachts were wrapped in ribbed film to gain fractions of a knot and edge out rivals. Where victories are decided by seconds, the shark's trick gave a small but real edge. The ocean predator was quietly helping athletes on the water. Today, airlines and cargo shippers are taking riblets seriously. Durable microgroove coatings have appeared for aircraft wings and ship hulls. The gain is only a few percent in fuel. But multiply those percentages by millions of flights and millions of tons of fuel, and you get staggering sums and emissions reductions. And here's what's beautiful. Where the Olympic scandal played out under camera flashes, the shark's trick failed publicly. But where nobody was filming on wings and ship hulls, it quietly went to work and saved millions. The real victory happened without fanfare. But that was only half the shark's legacy. Remember that bonus of shark skin, nothing grows on it. That second gift went not to transportation, but to medicine. And perhaps this is where shark skin saves the most, not in a pool or the sky, but in a hospital ward. It all started with the battle against biofouling on ship hulls. One researcher was trying to protect ship hulls from algae fouling without toxic chemicals. And he noticed something remarkable. A surface that replicated the shark skin micropattern stayed clean, almost nothing settled on it. That was a hint too good to ignore. From that, shark-led technology was born. A microscopic diamond-shaped pattern, an exact copy of shark skin's micro-relief, is applied to a surface. You can't see it with the naked eye and can barely feel it. But for bacteria, that landscape is an impassable obstacle course. Bacteria love to land on smooth surfaces, attach, and multiply into colonies. On the shark's micropattern, there's literally nothing to grip and nowhere to anchor. Without anchoring, they don't form a biofilm and don't multiply in swarms. Microbes defeated not by poison, but by texture. And that's the genius of it. Sharklet doesn't poison bacteria or douse them in antibiotics. It simply doesn't let them get a foothold through surface geometry alone. And since the microbes aren't being attacked by anything, there's nothing for them to develop resistance to. It's a weapon that's nearly impossible to adapt against. That's why this micropattern is being applied to the places microbes swarm most: door handles, handrails, touchscreens, and medical catheters in hospitals. In the age of superbugs that laugh at antibiotics, a surface that prevents colonization without any chemicals is a very serious weapon indeed. Let's be fair, riblets aren't magic. They need a precise size matched to a specific flow, and a clean, undamaged surface. Let it get dirty and the effect disappears. And the drag reduction is measured in percentages, not multiples. But scaled across an entire fleet or a hospital network, those percentages become enormous numbers. And here's the thought to close on. The shark's secret was real, but the suit's loud claim to it was a myth, and that claim got punished with a ban. While the scandal thundered, the quiet physics of the grooves slipped away to work when no one was filming in the sky, in the ocean, and in hospitals. Sometimes the flashy headline lies, and the unremarkable truth wins. Next time, how a butterfly without a single drop of pigment stays the bluest creature in the world and teaches us to make color without dye. Until then, look closely at the world around you and ask, why does that work? Thank you for being with us. If you find the idea inspiring that nature is our greatest teacher, share this story with someone who still enjoys being amazed by the world. We're already preparing the next one, because nature still holds so many secrets waiting to be discovered. See you next time. Subscribe.